Yeah. The cold will add to that as well.
Good morning
Right.
and welcome for our county commission meeting, last day of November. And I see the changing of the decorations out in the hall for the seasons. Public comment.
Bill Kearns, I just think we should commend the sheriff's department for the excellent job they did over the weekend. That could have been quite a dangerous situation. We're always very quick to, I think, criticize the sheriff's department, and I thought that was very commendable the way they handled it. So.
I have to agree, Bill. Anybody else? Public comment, Dana? No?
It's too cold. No, I know.
That's what my car said too. Anything else? Okay. Montana Minute, Franklin.
No, I guess it was a safe Thanksgiving long weekend, from what I understand, other than that one little episode that, but nobody was hurt anyway, so.
I have to disagree. I don't think it was a little episode. I think it was a major episode. Laura.
I kind of want to ditto what Bill said. Our law enforcement is being pushed further and further and further by these events that keep happening. Our high-speed chase this weekend could have been far more serious than it was. Thank goodness it ended up the way it was. But the shootings, the demonstrations, everything going on around the world, we ask our public safety deputies and police officers to stand in front of us, and they do. And they don't ask any questions, they just do it. So my Montana Minute is to our peace officers.
I'd have to agree with everybody else they've said. I read in the paper that there was 2 kids on bikes that were in the area too. And when I think of what could have been, I mean, it just gives you a sick feeling. So hats off to everybody that was involved. And the interesting thing is, he wasn't even from here,
No.
you know. But community update, Franklin.
I didn't attend any meetings this afternoon.
The local advisory council for mental health met last week, even just the day before Thanksgiving. It was a pretty skeletal crowd. I think there were 6 of us. We're still kind of waiting to see where we're at with the grant, the jail diversion grant that we got, and the Step Up initiative. So anxious to get some word on that.
Tell us about that grant.
It's by the Department of Public Health and Human Services, and it was put to counties by MACO, and also the result of a mass grant written by the Board of Crime Control. So there's a lot of partners, which I think says a lot about how important this issue is. And what it is a grant to study what individual communities have to offer in the way of diverting our mental health patients from spending time in detention centers. Somebody is having a moment of crisis, they'll be taken to Helena. If Hope House or Journey Home and the hospital are full, they'll come back here and they're put in a cell for their own protection. But that's not really what they need for their to get through their crisis. So also, if you talk to any one of our deputies, they've told us multiple times that they think about 80% of the people staying next door are there because of self-medicating drugs and alcohol to combat mental illness. So is there something preventative that can be done in a small town like this to address it before we start just locking people up? And also reduce crime in looking at this. Catch
Yes,
people
right.
before they do something versus
How
after.
full is our jail right now?
Pretty darn full.
Last time to Richard Thompson, he said one day he visited over there and there were 52 prisoners.
Yes.
It was one day last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has it been running, 40, 45?
Oh, between 45 and 50.
45?
But now most of those are not ours.
Yeah. And they're not even from Helena either, are they? Aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're from Helena.
They're from Helena pretty much? Yeah.
Actually, we just had a Jefferson County and Carbon County commissioners toured our jail to send their inmates here. We also have some from Yellowstone, Sweetgrass, and some others. So, yeah, it's mostly Helena, but we're more diversified than we used to be.
See, there's so many that are sentenced to prison, and there's always a waiting list where they get room for them, so we're a holding center for them. Usually about a month, it seems like.
What would we be maxed at, 50? Could we handle 60?
Well, not 60.
No.
Well,
It's probably max.
yes, you can stack them, but 50
Stack
is
'em up.
maybe maximum, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Helena's been, I think theirs is only for 55, 60. They've been having high as 90 in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think Helena welded beds on top of beds for more room.
Then there'll be a lot of them that are kind of trusty, they sleep out in the halls and stuff like in the library.
It's not good. Well, and I didn't have any meetings this week either. Been on the phone back and forth with Rocky Mountain Development with some stuff going on there. But otherwise. And I just have to say how thankful I think we all are. With Thanksgiving this past week, we look around the world and where we live and our families and all. I think we all have a lot to be very, very thankful for. I know I certainly do. Okay. Monica. Here is a book available for nonprofits, a special discount. Eat Well on $4 a day, which is good and cheap. So anybody wants a copy of the book, here's the information.
Thank you.
Our dues for NACO, the National Association of Counties, is due. The amount is $450 for the year. I would entertain a motion to,
We actually already paid that.
we
We pay it
did?
in our MACO dues.
really?
Yeah.
Why have we gotten a separate thing then?
FYI, to let us know how much.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And this is from Workman Publishing. The Good and Cheap project began as Leanne Brown's master thesis. And it's on the cookbook for being able to eat on $4 a day. And they're saying that they can send you a whole box for, I just saw it here a minute ago, $189, the whole box, if you want a whole box of cookbooks. $187, I'm sorry. Okay, we have an email addressed to Commissioner Obert. I've attached copies of the demographic information for Montana with the counties in our region highlighted. If you look at the Montana income projection from both 2012 and 15, you will see that Broadwater County median household income was stagnant. In 2012, the county ranked 13 in the state for median household income, but by 2015, the community had slid down to 30th. The median income was slid back by $571 from 2012 to 2015, with most of this change likely because of the cutbacks associated with the hospital. In 2012, the timber industry was depressed due to the housing bust and cutbacks on employment. This was already in place by 2012 and persists today. Secondly, many of the counties that moved ahead of Broadwater are affiliated with the Bakken boom. As an example, Daniels County had a 33% increase in median income over the same period, whereas Broadwater County had a negative 1.3 slide. Excluding the changes at the hospital, the local economy here appears to be relatively well diversified. Increases in population that are currently being experienced in Bozeman and Helena will likely continue to spill over into Broadwater County. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. The data is derived from ESRI demographic data. And I think those counties that benefited from the Bakken are soon to find that the opposite happens. From what I'm reading in the newspaper. This is up here if anybody would like to take a look at it all.
Madam Chair, this was in response to some erroneous information shared by Cheryl Campbell that we were 44th in the state. That was from 2010. This is a lagging indicator, so it kind of goes back a couple of years and we get to the numbers. So I thought it was important to put the facts out there. And we have two sets up here if anybody wants to look at them.
Good morning, Doug. Your big day, huh?
It's been a rough one so far.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, I got two things I need to talk to you about today. The first one deals with superintendent of schools. And I get a copy for you.
Thank you.
Got a letter from OPI
Thanks, Doug.
and the superintendent of schools, if the superintendent of schools can be consolidated with another office as long as it's an elected official. That's why I'm the county superintendent of schools. But if the county superintendent of schools doesn't have certain qualifications, we have to have someone with those qualifications contracted to the county. And that's in Montana code. I'll give you the code for that one. Code 20-3-201 gives you the qualifications. And you have to, says that upon verification by the county clerk and recorder, a person is qualified to file for the office of superintendent who is a qualified elector, holds a valid current Class 1 professional certificate, Class 2 standard certificate, or Class 3 administrative and supervisory certificate issued by the superintendent of public instruction. And it has at least 3 years of successful teaching. So it says that number 3 there says when the office of county superintendent is consolidated with another county office within the county, the office holder must have the qualifications listed in subsection 2 or shall, with the approval of the governing body, contract for the full performance of the duties required of a county superintendent. Now, we've been flying under the radar with this for several years. I'm
A long time.
really surprised that we haven't gotten this letter years ago. But I called a couple of the superintendents that I know in the county, talked to Muscle Shell and Carbon and Blaine County. The guy in Blaine County told me that the duties that he gives to the person that they contract, he said, I haven't even talked to her in 5 years. So really there's most of the time, it's just something you have to have. It's a stipulation that they put on the job.
Well, is she paid something
She's paid an hourly wage,
when she
I
has
need
to
her.
do this stuff?
right? The one in Carbon County is paid, I think they said $1,000 a month, and does pretty much nothing. All three of them that I talked to that said that their contracted person they never contact them, they don't, usually don't need them. The only time that we would probably need them would be if there was something that happened at the school that was out of character. If there was embezzlement going on, if something happened with the superintendent at the school and he couldn't fulfill his duties, then they would call on my office to step in. And it's kind of ironic that I got this call last Wednesday. OPI called me, the Office of Public Instruction called me and said, you have a teacher in your school system that isn't credited to teach, but they're teaching. And we just want to give you a heads up. So I called the school, and what it is we have a teacher that was certified in Idaho to teach certain classes. When she moved to Montana, she needed a few more hours training to be certified, and she's working on that. They expect to have it done by the end of December. So I think it's all gonna work itself out. But that's something that I would be called to step in for it. If we had a church teacher that wasn't certified, I would have to take the action to either have that teacher removed or have her certified or whatever needs to be done.
Well, years and years and years ago, probably 30 years ago, Broadwater County contracted with Marr County. I don't remember the gentleman's name right now. It was their superintendent, and he could, I don't remember what he was paid at all. I don't remember that. We'd have to look back and see. But that was how they got around it back then.
Right. Okay. Well, and that's, I guess it's kind of up to us how we handle the contracted personnel that, on the back of this form, then I have to return this to OPI. It has information about contractor hired by the county to perform certified license duties and functions. And so we have to list who we contract and social security number, class 4, their status, whether they're active or inactive, their qualifications. We did have one retired teacher that works here at the county, and I asked her if she would be interested in this. She just got back to me this morning, and she said that she appreciated the offer, but if
Thanks
she
for
had to
that.
step in and deal with some of the people that she'd worked with for 30 years, and she said that would cause a lot of stress in her life that she doesn't need, and I can understand that.
That makes sense.
So,
Have you talked to those guys in there,
to,
in an OPI?
no,
Is there a time we're supposed to have this back to them, or answer them back? Let's see it on here.
yeah, I didn't see a timeline, but well, letter dated September 18th, was when they sent this first notice. I don't recall getting that first notice in September. I just got this one November 16th, so,
It does say within 10 business days here, doesn't it?
yeah.
Would you contact Sean Graham, the executive director in there,
contract.
Yeah, that's who signed the letter.
Okay.
And
We can call him.
see what we can find out,
All right.
what our options are. I think our only option is to contract, but
Yeah.
he may know something else.
Yeah, and I think our, you know, if we could find somebody that was agreeable to just be contracted on an hourly basis if we needed to,
On call.
I don't think there would be any money
Okay,
probably ever paid out to them unless, I mean, our school operates and functions very well and we just don't have problems. But most of the counties that have a superintendent of schools have 5 or 6 rural schools that they have to certify the teachers and do certain things. We don't have that. All I have is my wonderful reports at the end of every year that that I do. And there's quite a bit of paperwork for homeschooling and bus routes and stuff like that. It's,
how many homeschoolers do we have in the county?
right now, I think we're up to about 21.
Really?
I'd have to check back and see. That's the number that sticks in my head.
But with those guys, all you have to do is register them, correct?
Yeah, you have to register and make sure that their immunizations have been done.
Right.
And give them whatever information comes in to the county through.
And do they deal direct with the state then?
Yeah.
Yep. And then we have to certify all the bus drivers. I don't actually certify mine, I just have to, on the OPI website, the school puts in the routes and the bus drivers and which bus they're driving and sends me a form, and I have to acknowledge that I've gotten that form and keep copies of them. And we do a bus transportation meeting each year. Take the minutes for that. But no, for the most part, it's that whoever we contract with, they're gonna be the Maytag repairman, they're gonna, it'll be the lowest job in town. But you never know when I think it was about 3 years ago, we had one county that there was some embezzlement going on in the school, and they called the county superintendent of schools to step in and take over until the matter was resolved.
Wow.
So there are things that could come up.
We just hope they don't.
We've never had them.
Yeah,
rear
there's
their
some,
heads.
there's some things here in statute that could really take up your entire day if something derailed. And, you know, even the best managers in the world can have something happen in your department and all of a sudden you're spending 90% of your time on one issue. But yeah, I think we've been lucky. We are just rolling along and the school's
Right.
doing well.
But I'll give Sean a call and see, I guess one thing that we kind of need to keep in our thought process is what would we be willing to pay to whoever we contract? If we can go to another county and use their superintendent of school, if they are qualified, I can't imagine that too many of them would be willing to do it for an hourly wage if they're needed. But we'll just have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
You might check in Moore County what they're doing now, because I think that gentleman retired, but I could be wrong.
All right.
And but like I say, I don't remember his name. That's been 30, 35 years ago.
Right.
And I know this is a very, very busy week with you. But if you could report back to us next Monday, or
Sure. Yep.
does that push you too much?
No. No, I got this November 19th, and I thought, well, this was my first chance to meet with you because
Yeah.
of the scheduling of the meetings, and wanted to let you know what was going on, and hate to see you getting blindsided by anything. So I will check with OPI, and I'll check with Marr County and see if there's any. I tried calling several superintendent of schools last week, and it was
Oh,
not a good week to get hold of people. Everybody was out of town, so I did manage to get hold of three. So we'll get hold of them and see, this is my next issue. And
Okay.
this is more,
I'm gonna put you at 1:30.
that'll be fine, yep.
thanks, Doug.
This is more a kind of a heads up and I don't know what we want to do. To make this, or what we can do to make it any easier. I had a property owner that came to me a couple of weeks ago with a tax protest and a tax appeal on his property because it had gone up 75% from last year. And we took his protest, had him fill out the county tax appeal form, and I turned it into the county tax appeal secretary. And I've talked with her since then, and I think we have a better understanding of it, but she was under the understanding at that time that the county tax appeal board wouldn't be able to hear this gentleman because he hadn't turned his county tax appeal in by June 30th, which is what Montana code, that's the way she was reading Montana code. So I printed out 2 copies of Montana code. The first one says DOR, that's kind of what the state deals with, the state tax appeal board. The one that says county deals with the county tax appeal board. Our county tax appeal board, actually, it says in here that they meet from June, or July 1st until December 31st. For the current tax year to hear progress concerning assessments made by the department. And then at the end of that, that's down in section 2, it says they may meet after December 31st if it's provided by 15-2-201. Well, what the county, kind of in a nutshell, when the property tax owner gets their assessment from the Department of Revenue, usually those come out in June. This year, they didn't come out until August for some of the people. They have 30 days to appeal that tax assessment with an AB 26, which is a Department of Revenue form. If they appeal that form within that 30 days, then the Department of Revenue deals with their appeal until they come to either an agreement or a disagreement. At that time, if they're not satisfied with what Department of Revenue gives them, then they can come to the county tax appeal board. So their county tax appeal doesn't have to be presented to the county until 30 days after Department of Revenue has made a determination. So I'm pretty sure that I've got the county tax appeal board straight on that yes, they can and they should and they will hear the people that need to come in for appeal. That's kind of why I was running when I came in here. I had 2 at my counter right now that are filing tax appeals. And we've got about 6 others that have done it so far. But for a county tax appeal, they have 30 days after Department of Revenue determines their case to appeal to the county tax appeal board. Their taxes have to be paid under protest for the county tax appeal board to hear them. But the reason and I made my appointment about this with you guys before I talked to the county tax appeal board and got all the information, because in the back of my mind, I saw about 10 taxpayers coming to you guys to complain about the process. And that's kind of what I wanted to warn you. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think our tax appeal board is gonna hear them and things should be okay. But this is probably the most misunderstood thing in the office, is tax protests and tax appeals. But beyond a shadow of a doubt, I would say it's at least in the top two of the most misunderstood things. People just do not understand how this works.
I don't think that they think they have to pay the taxes.
Well, and you know, so much of this hinges on the assessment that's sent out by the Department of Revenue in June. And if people don't read their assessment and see that their value's gone up or down, and at that time, if they don't turn in an AB 26, within 30 days, they won't be heard until the next tax cycle. It will go a year without them being able to do anything.
Most
with
people
their
don't
taxes.
realize that.
I don't think very many people realize that. And I don't know what the best way would be to educate people on that. If it would be adult education at the high school once a year with the classes that they have, or
Even an article in a newsletter might help.
I know that the county tax appeal board has to publish an ad every year in June, and they do, to let people know they have to get their appeal in by the 30th of June. But this June, a lot of the people hadn't even received their assessment yet.
You wouldn't have any way of knowing.
That's,
And in June, if you're, most of our taxpayers, the taxes come out in November, they pay the first half. In May, they pay the second half. Their taxes are paid. They're not, why would they turn in a tax appeal? They've already paid their taxes. That's the last thing on their mind.
That's right.
And so I think a lot of the citizens are probably missing out on the opportunity to appeal their taxes, just because it's so convoluted. It's not an easy process. It's not easily understood.
Can they protest partial taxes?
They can protest the amount that their taxes went up from last year. They can't protest more than that. So, and they don't have to protest the entire amount, but they can protest whatever they think is unfair. But yeah, there's a time frame it has to be done in by Montana code. If they don't, if that AB 26 turned into the Department of Revenue within 30 days, then and chances are good if they didn't appeal the Department of Revenue, they're not gonna appeal, turn in a county tax appeal form within that same 30 days. They're under that same timeline. They could skip Department of Revenue and just go to the county tax appeal board if they do it within that 30 days. If they don't do it within that 30 days, they're out of luck for that year.
But they can still come back on next year and do it then, is that right?
Department of Revenue said they will look at them the
Which
following year.
complicates even more than one that
Yeah, but they won't go back on the previous year's tax. They will just, if you were to go, if you wanted to appeal with Department of Revenue, you came in today on the last day to pay your taxes and said, man, my taxes went up $2,000 and I'm protesting. you didn't turn an AB 26 in when you got your assessment. This year's in the record books, they're not, the Department of Revenue will take an AB 26 for tax year 2016. But this year they won't do anything about.
And very few people out there know that that's
Right.
how it is.
But I did talk with the secretary of the tax appeal board, and I gave her the same thing I just gave you guys, I gave her all the codes. So if they, now they do know that if there is an appeal outstanding with Department of Revenue, and there still are several for Broadwater County. They have 30 days after that appeal is settled to turn in an appeal to the county tax appeal board. So I don't think you guys will probably be slammed with them, but we've had, I can't remember how many Department of Revenue told me we had this year. They just brought us 5 more last week that they were doing an AB 26 on a state tax appeal form on. But I think they've had 50-some for Broadwater County.
Really? Wow.
And I understand we're not unique. This is pretty much statewide.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went from a 6-year appraisal to a 2-year appraisal. And the way it used to work, if it was a 6-year appraisal, they would increase your taxes a certain percentage each year. Well, they don't have that luxury anymore. It's a 2-year cycle now. And that's why their appraisals didn't go out until August. They did them statewide. That's why our mobile home bills were like going out this year, is they did real estate first, and then mobile home, and real estate, the mobile home taxes are billed 6 months before the real estate's. But, yeah, it's not an easily understood process. So I think, just anything we can get out there to people and let them know. Maybe like you said, maybe an ad. We do an ad in the paper that our tax appeal board does every June. But it's in the legal section of the paper. And probably a good percentage of people that don't read that.
I would like to see something more, instead of an ad, I would like to see more of an information type
Right,
article.
yeah.
And I like your idea of the newsletter as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can put something on the website next year as well. Those are all free for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
then an
that's-
ad in the paper,
that's
a
something I think
decent
As a
local ad.
county, we should be doing that. We should be letting the people know,
Right.
you know.
That's our duty, to let them know.
And I think it would help too if they knew who the tax appeal board was. In Idaho, it's the commissioners. Here, it's 3 citizens. Kelly Flynn, Bill Huber, and Leonard Jeffries, I think is our tax appeal board. So I think that would be good to let people know who they are.
Yeah, and I have
In
one
those
of
articles
those
and
where,
ads.
where one of the people that were filing a tax appeal when I came up here, and the reason for it was, they receive a percentage of a reduction on their taxes. But there's no way to tell if they get that percentage. It doesn't show the before and after, it just shows the base amount.
Why were they supposed to get a reduction?
That, I don't know if it's handicapped or disabled or low income, there's certain
criteria?
qualifications they have to meet with the Department of Revenue, and they met those qualifications.
Oh.
I'm not sure which one it was, but, yeah, but he was pretty concerned that he couldn't see that 30%. He wanted to be able to look at figure A and figure B and say, okay, that's 30% difference, I'm happy.
can't blame him.
There's nothing that shows that initial assessment.
That should be
So
clear.
he came to me and wanted me to show him his 30%. I can't show him that. I don't have that's Department of Revenue. I don't even see the initial amount on my side of it. And that's part of what makes this all so confusing is Department of Revenue does part, we do part. And
Could the people across the hall from you help him?
they sent him over to me.
Oh,
He said he wanted to see what his tax would have been without the 30%, so they sent him to me.
you had no way of knowing.
I said, if they will give you the initial assessed value, I can multiply it by the mills and tell you what your taxes would have been. Well, when I came up here, he was headed back over to talk to them. We'll see how it, how it turned out when I get back. But I think this year you might see a few citizens in front of you complaining about an increase in their taxes. And I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up and let you be able to see how this works.
Thank you for that.
Thanks for the job you do.
But, it's a learning experience every day.
It is.
Do you have any questions or?
I don't.
No.
No.
No? All right.
Thanks,
Well, I'll
Doug.
get with Mr. Graham and Mark County and whoever else I can get a hold of on the superintendent.
You know, because there's quite a few teachers that have retired in the last couple of years. I don't know if they'd even be interested. That I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I can think of a handful.
It might be worth it, a local ad to see who is interested and follow the interview process. You know, try and keep that contract money local. Just
I could
some people
probably
might not be
get
as.
a list from Pam and find out just who has retired. It might be like the one I talked to, they might say, you know what, I've worked with all of those people, I don't wanna have to go back and.
We could have a retired teacher too, though, living on the north end of the county who taught in East Helena, one by Three Forks that taught in Three Forks.
Right.
So, and some people wouldn't be bothered by that. You know what, it's by the book, they're doing it wrong, I have no problem stepping in.
Yeah.
So I think maybe ads wouldn't be a bad idea when you determine what it is you want this package to look like, to take it to the public and see if anybody is interested. I think could be a good way to go.
All right. Well,
Good
I'll
luck.
do my homework and meet with you next Monday and we'll see what we come up with.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, guys.
Come on up, Dana.
Okay. We did these bids on this grader here last week. I went through, looked, a couple of things I'm not real kosher with. First of all, RDO came in, they bid a 2015. Okay. T&E bid a 2014. But the bid package says 2014 renewal. Okay.
Is the 2014 brand new?
It's a demo machine.
Okay.
Greg said it was new. It is new in one respect. Okay. In another respect, it's not.
How many hours you got on the demo?
Well, there was 63 on it. When they brought it, there's 116 on it now. It doesn't have a belly pan on it. It's gonna cost a couple grand to put a belly pan on. This one from RDO's got a belly pan on it, okay? But I I went through and looked and I thought, and I mean, there's a $50,000 price difference in, you know, between the two. So, you know, I kind of understand all that. I just, what I would like to do, I don't know if it makes any difference to you guys. I would actually like to reject these bids and possibly wait for 6-7 months till the end of fiscal year. I've got the money to do this. I mean, I got the money in my CIP fund to do what I need to do. I don't have a problem with that. I've just got the problem with we're not comparing apples to apples here.
Apples and oranges.
You know, and as much as I like one over the other, we're still not comparing. I'm almost positive, even if they came back and did a 2015 cap, I'm still thinking it's gonna come in cheaper than this because John Deere doesn't, you know, if you bid John Deere, I mean John Deere for John Deere, RDO is gonna come in pretty high. You bid cat for cat, cat's gonna, you know, it's gonna even out in one respect. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to just reject these bids. You guys got the authority to do that, okay? And wait till after fiscal. And then I would actually like to possibly, you know, because by then I'll have, you know, I'm gonna have a bunch of cash left over that I can throw back into my CIP, which will give me more in my CIP. I would really like to maybe get bid two. You know, I mean, because I was gonna bid another one even, you know, next year. And I'm very confident I'll have more than enough to even take care of that. So I'd like to get rid of the John Deere, the 05 we have, and then get rid of that 160 that TJ's running. I've talked to TJ a little bit about it. Makes no difference to him, you know, either way.
How many hours those machines got on them?
The John Deere, the 05 we have's got 50, I believe it's about 52 to 5400 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well, it's not bad, but from my past experience on John Deere, now I'm not knocking John Deere, but we had some of the older BHs. Now they had some hours on them, way less than 52. We had engine problems, we pulled motors on them, you know, had transmission problems. This machine's been pretty good. But I think, you know, these John Deeres are a little bit more prone to, you know, the older ones, I'm not saying the newer ones, but the older ones are a little bit more prone to a little more, how should I say it, mechanically prone to
Have some problems.
dysfunction, you know? And that's just by going by my past experience, I mean, so, but like I said, it's still in pretty decent shape. Doesn't have a whole bunch of hours on it, but we need to continue to try to keep upgrading these graders, because this is our main piece of equipment. And I'm telling you, when those guys get rolling with them, I mean, they use them as dozers, they use them as just graders, and everything. I mean, you know, they get some tough hours on them, but.
How many hours does the cat have on it?
He's got about 3,000.
Was that right? Only 3,000?
Yeah. The only problem with that, Franklin, is that it's not, when we bid that one a few years back, you know, in 08, 09, I kinda, you know, it's the first one I did, you know, I kinda got talked into it a little bit to some respect, because it was here. It was ready to go, it was already built, it was here. And it's just a tandem drive, it's not a 6-wheel drive. It's a little bit more prone to sliding and getting stuck in snow and mud than your 6-wheel drives. You know, and I mean, when we get up plowing snow in the wintertime, and I mean, it gets heavy and deep, normally I've gotta have somebody go with TJ, just in case. I mean, if he's got to chain up, he'll chain up, and they do pretty good chained up, but the six-wheel drives are just a little bit better. That's why I'm kinda wanting to get rid of that one and go back to another six-wheel drive there. Every other one we have is six-wheel drive. And, so that's kinda where I'm sitting on this whole thing, you know, and I guess that's my suggestion, is just to, you know, reject the bids, just so we can reevaluate in July and possibly pick up two rather than one, and then we'll have two new ones. Mark's is a 10, you know, we can wait for a couple years and we'll ship that one out. The
How many
90
hours it have on it now?
Well, it don't have very many, it's only got like, I'm thinking 1,800, you know. TJ and Willie use theirs a whole lot more than Mark does. Mark, when we're out blading and building road, Mark is usually the water truck guy. But now that I've got, you know, Hayden comes in, you know, every 3 weeks or something, you know, and I use him very minimal, part-time, temporary type of guy. You know, he'll run a water truck or something like that when we've got some other stuff going, so. You know, that's why we can hang on to that 10 for, you know, we'll be okay with that for a few years, so. You know, because it just doesn't have a lot of hours on it, but, you know, I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on it. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, I don't know.
I'm looking for comments.
Well, that's fine, you wanna wait till July?
Well,
Or I guess it'd be July you're talking about.
Yeah, right after fiscal, you know, and then that way I can have, you know, because I'd really like to have two new ones and get these two older ones shipped out. And that way we got 5-year warranty. You know, I mean, your warranties are, you still pay for mileage if something goes wrong, you pay for mileage to come in and fix them. And that's the way they all are. It makes no difference. I mean, you buy it, you buy it. It's the way it is. I mean, it's the way it has been for years, so.
Comment?
We talked about this last week, Dana and I think your reasoning today is as solid as it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I think this is a good plan. I support it.
I would entertain a motion to reject these bids.
So moved.
I'll say.
It's been moved and seconded that we reject the bids. The graders, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Okay. And just on the grounds that we might want to reevaluate and possibly, you know, do two.
And that makes sense.
You know, I think it does. You know, and like I say, I've got money to do it. The money's not a problem. And like I said before, you know, the county, I've heard a lot of people talk about, you know, saving money. Well, you know, the road department is one department that, in my opinion, we spend money to service the community. That's all there is to it. I mean, I've got to spend money to get done what I got to get done.
Yeah, you're not gonna bring any money in.
No, I'm not, so, you know, and I end up with a certain amount of money every year from, you know, state and all that stuff, and you know, I know our SRS monies, you know, I think we got one more year of that coming, or is it done?
I think we have another year.
One more guaranteed, they're still working on continuing it.
Yeah, so,
We'll see what happens.
you know, I know I'm gonna be lacking here, you know, after another year and a half, you know, as far as a little bit, but that's the way it is. And I guess if people don't understand that, I guess, I don't know what to say. So, but as far as right now, I mean, we're fine. I always end up with plenty of cash left over, and I feel confident we can make things work the way we're working right now, and go from there.
I have to say hats off to you, Dana, for being so concerned and looking at the best way to do things.
I try. I mean, I know sometimes probably people. So, I mean, you can only do
We
what you
do.
can do, and go from there. I appreciate that.
And keep in mind too, that the vast majority are people you don't hear from.
Oh, I know, yes,
Small vocal minority.
yeah, that's what it is. It's on the- Okay, I guess I'll get a hold of those guys and we'll go from there.
Okay,
And then I guess I got a meeting next week.
all right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Dana.
Okay.
Thank you. Jenny? Come on up.
All the way up here?
All the way up.
All right.
And anybody else that you want? Good morning.
Morning. How's everybody? Feel crispy warm?
Crispy warm as well.
All right, what do we have?
Blow up my house.
Well, great, so you guys, I guess my understanding is everyone's interested in where the hospital's at, what's going on, right? Is that correct? Or do you
Yes,
guys
please.
speak first?
You know, I would also like you to share with us what the meeting was with Intercap and Montana Facility Finance, just because there was some unfortunate information shared that was incorrect, and I would like it on the record what the correct information is.
Okay, so let's back up so that everyone understands what happened. What we have planned out, and what we knew since early spring, is that we had coming up what was called ICD-10, which is a coding change, happening in October. In the past and previous years, what they found is it could take up to 3 months to get paid on that stuff, on those bills, which doesn't mean that we wouldn't get the money, it would just take a long time to get the money. The other piece that we had coming up, or that we knew, is that Medicaid and Medicare, the way they pay is based on prior year's information. Well, we're constantly evolving, constantly changing, and our information from prior years isn't necessarily true, and they overpay us. We tried to set that money aside, but until we do what's called our cost report, we don't know what that number's gonna look like. We knew they were overpaying us, and we set the money, what we could aside, but in the meantime, we're maintaining our cash flow. It's not, from an expenses, when you're looking at our depreciation and everything, we're actually negative anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000 a month. Cash flow wise, we're losing about $20,000 a month, which is slower. So prior year, we were overpaid Medicaid 1.7, 1.5. We paid back 1.2. We still had some remaining to pay back. We took a loan out to pay that.
It's 1.5 million.
1.5 million is what we paid back from Medicare. We still owed $250,000. We have all these kind of items going on. We found out with one of our plans coming up with the ICD-10 and the slow play was to ask for our mill levy money. When we found out there was no mill levy money, the question came back to the courthouse asking what happened, what's going on, and how are we going to rectify that. In that time, Corey, the county attorney, started asking questions about the loan that was given to the hospital. Actually, it was given to, in the county's name, to the state bank of $400,000 that happened in 2012. He didn't appreciate the way it was written up, would like that changed, and so we started having a conversation of how could we get that refinanced. Intercap is the company in Helena that originally said, we think we can help with that. So while we were looking at getting that refinanced, that $400,000, which happened to be $280 at this point now, or it was $320 at the time, we thought, well, maybe we can roll in these other loans that we've taken and refinance them at this lower interest rate, 1.25 to 2%, depending on. Everything else is being paid at 3%. It's cheap money. We go to Intercap, they take a look at everything, and bottom line, they said, the way you're looking at this, we cannot refinance. But we can help you in other ways. We can help maintenance with the building, we can help with your lab equipment if you have to purchase, and they were able to look at our overpayment in Medicare and decide that they can help with that. So instead of refinancing these loans and allowing us a little bit freer cash flow, which currently our payments were $7,500 on and continue to be, the idea was to free up that cash. Since we couldn't do that, we are going to, Intercap is now going to help us, loan us $400,000 to pay back this overpayment in Medicare that we have. So the meeting that we were at a month ago now, 2 months ago, was basically talking about how the plans, what are all the needs of the hospital, who's best to help us get those needs filled and how that's gonna work. End result, we're still out the mill levy money, but Intercap said that they can help kind of leverage against that.
I think it's gonna cost us about $7,000 to get a loan to make up for the loss of the mill levy.
Right, with origination fees. We maintain a set level of cash. We don't currently have $550,000. My stomach turns if we get below 300, because we have a $300,000 fluctuation at any given point in our payments. Our staff has been able to collect faster. ICD-10 has not hit us as hard as we thought it was going to. We're collecting much faster than a 3-month delay. The need is still there, but we haven't had to dip into a line of credit that we got last spring. We have no issues at this time making payroll. But we are going to, we still are running at a loss right now. It's going to be, and it's in our cash flow for things coming down the line, which is this, the mill levy money will be used to pay back this Medicare at this low interest rate. IGT is something else that we're counting on coming up in spring.
That's
IGT is
critical.
and I don't know if everybody understands what IGT is. IGT is, it's called intergovernmental transfer money. This is money that the state receives for counties that have nursing homes or long-term care facilities that get Medicaid dollars. Medicaid doesn't pay at the rate that it costs us to run a nursing home. So what they've done is they've been able to go to these counties, they put every county that's here in Montana, and they say if every county can give a certain dollar amount, we will give a third above that back to your nursing home to cover the shortfall in Medicaid payment. But in that, the way that happens, the county has to put the money up front. Last year, it was I think it was about $205,000 the county had to put up for us to receive $280,000. So that's something that's gonna be critical and important for you guys to know as a county that we're gonna be asking for that, for you guys to put that money up front to help get that third back. And that would all flow back to the nursing home. Currently, our nursing home's running at about 70% capacity. Means that we have 8 beds available, 7 after today, we have somebody moving in. That's about $60,000 a month. If we can fill that up, that would make a huge difference to us. So I guess coming back to our Intercap money, which was the meeting that we had in Helena to talk about the Bluebird Day of what we would like to see happen, what the hospital needs, and who could best help us. End result of all those conversations is Intercap will loan us $400, or will loan us against the mill levy, whatever our cost report, how much our overpayment is, loan us for 3 years. It's about $450,000 at 1.25%. That allows us to not tap into a line of credit and allows us to keep cash in our bank right now. Then there is also the Finance Facility Authority that will loan us money to purchase a new chemistry analyzer, which we've saved about $30,000 on the cost on some negotiations on that.
And what is that?
That is our chemistry analyzer that runs all of our tests. We have an older version in there right now that's kind of outdated. She's struggling. She's costing us she's costing us about $5,000 to maintain right now, just to keep her running monthly. We don't want to do that anymore. So this new machine will actually replace 3 other machines as well, so they can run all the tests on this one machine instead of having to run a whole bunch. So that should help in some tax time as well.
The whole point of that summary is that in no time have we been in any kind of circumstance where we cannot make payroll ever, okay? That we have taken with vision to, even though $170,000 would and a mill levy would have cut our losses in half currently. It gives us financial flexibility, some dexterity as an organization in going forward. Still have a ways to go, but as we continue to look at the 6 pillars that the community strategic planning sessions have laid out, which involve recruitment, quality, fundraising, revenue enhancement. Jane's done a nice job in the revenue cycle team. Marketing our services. We need you to come and visit us if you have a chance. And we need friends and relatives that may need the nursing home to come and fill it up. And I think we've got a very positive next 3 to 6 months in establishing that nursing home being filled. We've been approved by the VA with flying colors, and so we see why isn't it filled right today? We don't have an answer for that, but we get calls, and with the 5-star rating that we achieved with no deficiencies, only 1% of the nursing homes in the country ever achieve that. It's a real huge comment on our staff. It should get filled in the next 60 days. So we have to continue to market, and we have to continue to raise monies. And we're continuing to assess the campus. And one of the things that we're in line for and have some commitment now from Rural Development USDA is they're very interested in helping fund the community assisted living program, which would allow us to have 20 beds. So we're pretty excited about that. That's a big deal. They're willing to put up almost $2.9 million towards building that. So we're excited about it.
Where would you build?
It'd be across the street, in that, where the warehouses are, from the alley over. We haven't actually acquired the properties yet, but we're in the process. So we're excited about that. It does mean some community interest and community fundraising. Nothing goes without asking, I guess. But Jane does a nice job of focusing on the dollars, the numbers, and we all get a little queasy when that level of dollars gets down to 300,000. But I think we're in the process now. Got some excellent recruiting going on. Dr. Carol Bridges started today as our new medical director, chief of staff, and so we're excited about some of the changes.
What doctors do you have there now?
We have Dr. Campbell, Dr. Trapp. We have Tammy Chambers is going to join us in January. She's a nurse practitioner, full-time. Dwight Thompson, and then we've sort of got some permanent locums people that help us out on a consistent basis as well.
Thank you.
Jenny, can you explain a little bit the loans that you'll be receiving from Intercap? Is there a burden, additional burden put on the taxpayers? And is it for $1 million? I understand there was some unfortunate information on that as well.
No. So, and I can understand where that came from. So Intercap had available for an ask of $1.1 million. So that's what was in their pot available to hospitals like us. What we went to the table and said, we have all these items, what can you guys do for us? Now, all of our items obviously add up to $1 million, but they couldn't help us with all of them. We did not get the money refinanced that's in the county's name. So that continues to be that way. We made the $60,000 payment last October.
Even with the mill levy.
Even with the mill. So, what ended up happening with Intercap, what they were able to help us with is a $400,000, $450,000 3-year loan that will actually be in the district's name. And then the Finance Authority also has, sorry, let me back up. Intercap also was able to approve us for $162,000 towards repairs on the hospital. So the roof, the hot water heaters that we just did, and also what we put in that number was updating the facade outside of the building that's rotting. So that money is not something we take right away, it's as needed. It's available to us for 1 year, we tap into it as we need it. We just did the roof and did the hot water heaters, so we'll get about $50,000 of that now. And that's actually over a 10-year loan, if we need to go that long. Still at a 2% rate. So that's Intercap, those will go to the district, under the district's name, they actually won't be on our books, the hospital's books will be on the district's. And then there's the Finance Facility Authority that does equipment and any kind of asset help. And we're going to them for the analyzer, the chemistry analyzer, which is a 7-year loan at, again, 2%. Actually, that one's lower, 1.5%. And then the discussion has been had with them that they could possibly do a short-term help with the purchase of the properties across the way until the USDA's loan kicked in, which would be just a short, up to $250,000 if we went that way. But we haven't secured those yet. And that would be in the hospital's name.
What is the cost of the chemistry reader?
$88,000, actually, plus shipping, $92,000. It was $117,000 to start. We had a lot of negotiating and finagling and ended up getting a $4,500 refrigerator too that we needed in there, so it was actually a really great purchase. And it's what Ennis paid 3 years ago for the same piece of property.
Thank you. More questions?
No, I just, thank you for bringing the clarity
Yeah.
to those issues.
Yeah, no time have we been in any circumstance where we would not make payroll. I think what's important though is we have contained costs and actually reduced costs from this year to last year. And actually had the same volume or better. So.
Yeah, our payroll actually came in about $60,000 under budget right now from what it was this year compared to last year. So we've tightened up quite a bit of expenses as much as we could. So right now it's get people to come see the hospital, see our new providers, to drive that volume a little bit. Stay local.
Franklin, questions?
No,
Well, it's just a comment. It's if somebody walked out of the courthouse today and said the courthouse can't make payroll, and got that on the street, that'd be pretty irresponsible.
Pretty devastating.
Right. So I think it's important that we know our facts and work hard to encourage people to use the facility, a 5-star rated facility that only 1%, and that's what we got shut down. And now only 1% of the nursing homes in the country can ever match that. So we're really proud of it. We got a great facility. And it's providing a large payroll, 70 full-time equivalents, part-time, full-time, almost 90. So it's a huge impact to the community, and if you walk down the hallways, I think many of the residents will be happy to tell you how good of care they are getting. We continue to get great comments from hospitalized patients. They wouldn't go anywhere else. They're very pleased with the care. You've got a real jewel here.
Bill?
Bill Upthegrove, and I'm the Secretary Treasurer on the hospital board. And I'd just like to kind of go over a couple things that Jenny said, and I'd like to thank the county for their support. We, this year, we made the payment where you have made it for us in the past on the lawn. So that happened. We have borrowed the money to fix the hospital. I know we've been asking about it and hoping for some, but right now we're gonna carry that so that doesn't go to the taxpayers. We know we had an unfortunate situation with the mill levy, and we'll all get through it, and we'll all do what we need to do. I would though like to reinforce what Jenny said about the intergovernmental transfer. This is a coming up next year thing. We as a hospital have to provide the service to this county for patients that can't pay, and that costs us about $400,000 a year. Those are all, for the most part, county residents that we can't really make up for on your bill or my bill as well. So it's a problem for us. So next year when we ask if you would help us with intergovernmental transfer, and I know that PILT right now federally is still kind of up in the air, but you might think about helping us there because we can expand that money. To Jenny's point, $200,000 turns into $280,000. So we have started to kind of stand a little on our own. You know, as we pointed out, we just paid, or we're trying to pay for a lot of those things, but we're still going to really ask for your help. And that's probably the big one in the coming year where we're going to come back and talk with you. But thank you for the help and the support you do give us.
Thank you, Bill. I see there's quite a few hospital people out here. Does anybody else want to add anything?
I think Bill said it very well.
Barb, anything?
Well, the district is kind of a pass-through for a lot of the monies that happen. And we're willing to do whatever is necessary to make that an efficient thing.
Okay, board members?
No, I just thank you for the facts.
I'd encourage anybody, I mean, anybody you're speaking with too, if they say anything, just say, go sit down, go talk, go find out, because there's a lot of misnomers that go on.
Best way to help them is go find out for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of you were here earlier. I don't think you were, Jenny. I did forward that to you, but there's a report right in front of you from MBAC. And it was brought up last week by a citizen, Cheryl Campbell, that Broadwater County is 44th in the state for per capita income. Now, per capita income is not a perfect way to snapshot a county as compared to other counties, but it's one of the better tools that we have. But in 2012, we shot up to 13th in the state. Now, it's always a lagging indicator. So what happened a year or two before is going to be reflected in the 2010, 2012, and now 2015 numbers. So for the 2012 numbers going to 2015, one of the things that showed is that we slid backwards in Broadwater County, largely because of what happened at the hospital. All those jobs lost hit our median per capita income, which hit our housing, which hit our need for services. So just looking at that one report showcases how important a large business like the hospital is to the economy of our county, which translates into taxes, quality of life, quality of the school. So it's a good report, worth looking at. We've slid from to 30th in the 2015. But one of the things that also happened in there, again, a lagging indicator, is the Bakken boom is reflected in there. So a bunch of eastern counties actually fell up to the top. That'll change with the next report because, as we all know, the Bakken boom isn't booming currently. So, but it's a snapshot that gives us a look with the lagging indicator.
So with the mill levy assessment now, that's, where is that at? When does that start? Does that start in January for the next year mill levy?
No, this November, doesn't it?
November.
Yeah,
So it
so you'd be
has
seeing
it
that.
gone out already?
Mhm. Today's the
Where
last
are
day
we
to
on
pay?
it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Money's coming in very well today.
yes. We worked with the district board and all our staff and double and triple checked that, so I think you're good to go now. Yeah.
Just tell everybody to go pay their taxes.
Yeah. We are gonna be talking about PILT, later on in the agenda. Can you guys stay for that?
Thanks, guys.
How many star ratings do we have at the hospital?
5-star.
Five. What's the top?
5.
What's the percentage of hospitals in the US that get that rating?
Well, it's nursing homes. Only 1% ever achieve it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
The hospital is just ranked, what's the right thing, Mr. Hofstad?
Yeah, in operational efficiency, in the top 25 percentile of the country.
Really?
Nice. That's excellent.
Yeah.
You need to put things like that on paper.
Yes, we do. We have.
If I just say one quick thing, just
Certainly.
try to imagine those 90 jobs gone. And what does that do to you in the city of Thompson?
It does do with the drugstore. And real estate. Far reaching.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Looks like we're just a hair behind, but PILT disbursements. You have the list of requests.
I just put together a very rudimentary list, and I made some copies if you guys want to use them. This is more because this is the way my brain works. Debbie's on vacation, so we don't have the updated list from her. As far as the current, yeah, I guess her report just would have looked different. It would have had the same information on it. But what we do every year, we just got a letter from Tree Board requesting their annual PILT disbursement. And so we have the CASA advocates, that's the court-appointed special advocates, mostly for children. We usually give 1,000. Food pantry, we usually give 3,000. Tree Board, we usually give 2,000. And then I also included the IGT state match. I couldn't remember the percent match, but it's 33%, not 30, if it's a third. And I put 200 there, but I think that's maybe something we should address today with maybe up to 250, just so that we make sure we reserve enough for that IGT in the spring.
What other requests are in?
That's all we got. Oh, excuse me, Dana did put in a request as well, early in the budget.
And the amount?
I don't remember. I have it. It'll just take me a little while to find it, so we can continue while I look if you want to.
What do we usually give ambulance?
I would like to actually wait on all those funds until we have a report from Debbie and have the balance. Those ones are not really needed until the end of the year, other than the county buildings. So I don't think any of them rise to the top like the ones that are relying on that money to come in, like CASA, Tree Board, Food Pantry.
Well, the sheriff's already gotten her vehicles.
Yeah, that one's done already.
And I say carefully, but I think they've got all their weapons.
What's that?
I think they have all their weapons.
Yes. Yep.
Franklin, any requests that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any thoughts?
We should put some into the county buildings. We've got an, aging heating system, aging AC system. Mike's been doing a lot with the detention center, 911. So I would suggest just to start that we put 50,000 in there.
Is that enough?
At this point, probably, long-term, probably not. But I think, at this point, it's probably a very good place to start.
Okay.
So I guess for the first three that we've done year after year after year, I would move that we give the same PILT disbursement as previous years to CASA, Food Pantry and Tree Board of 1,000, 3,000, and 2,000 respectively.
Yeah, that's okay. I think the rest of it, we should wait till we get the request coming in. How much is that liability insurance? That's about 120, isn't it, or something?
It was 107.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded then that we approve disbursement to CASA of 1,000, Food Pantry 3,000, and Tree Board for 2,000. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same, motion carried.
And then I also would like to move that we put 50,000 into the CIP 4,001 for the county buildings.
Yeah, I'll say.
It's been moved to put $50,000 into CIP 4,001 for county buildings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same, motion carried.
And then I would like to move that we put aside, for the purpose of funding the IGT in the spring, up to $250,000.
250?
It was 205-ish last year. I would expect it would be about the same, but just a little cushion just in case.
Okay.
I guess we can wait till we get the exact amount.
We won't have that until spring, and I think it's important so that the hospital has the assurance moving forward that that will be coming, to have a vote at this time, and so that we know that's coming for our own budgeting purposes throughout the year.
Now, it's clear that after that, we get this back, is that correct? After the IGT comes in.
The way it works is the county pays the money to the state. The state has a bucket that they match with of 30% and send it back. And that is used at the nursing home to offset the low payments of Medicaid. Is that correct? And I don't have Dana's letter at this point, but since he is looking at waiting anyway, I would say that we could address that with the rest of the CIPs.
Okay. So did you second that?
No, I'm still not real clear on that, so I guess that's why I am.
Jenny, do you want to explain IGT, please?
So the IGT money is money that the government gives to your state, and it's a whole bucket depending on how many beds are available in the nursing across your state. We don't know, and we have no idea what the number will be. I think 2012, it was 100,000 that came back to this facility, and it was full at that time. It also matters how many counties agree to participate with how much money they're willing to give out to everybody. and how much your share is before they finalize the number. The money legally cannot come back to your PILT account. It has to stay with the hospital facility or with the nursing home facility. So you have to understand that the money that you're putting in to your government is coming back to help your community. It doesn't come back to your own pocketbook.
Does that make it understandable?
Well, yeah. Another question I have is, I'm still not sure if legally we can put this PILT money this way. I know there was that one letter that came out of,
That's what IGT, you can for IGT. Almost all the counties
Absolutely.
do that. Within the state.
Done it now for probably over 20 years.
And to that effect, we have a letter from the Department of the Interior, we have a letter from Crowley Fleck, legal attorneys, and we have a memo from Corey. So, we can use PILT for our local hospital purposes, going through the district board.
And that actually doesn't even go to the district board, it goes to the government, it goes to the state, it goes to DPHHS. It has nothing, doesn't ever touch the district board, it doesn't touch
Then who does it come back to then?
the hospital from DPHHS, from the state.
And that's how that one's a little bit more clear than even some of the others.
More questions?
well, I still question that on that. If it's, if we can actually do that with PILT. I mean, like I say, I know there was that one letter and stuff, but,
Do you have Corey's letter there?
I didn't bring it up with me, no. I might have it.
I wonder if he's
you know,
available right now.
understand, PILT is supposed to take care of,
Well, you can use it
The
out of your
whole
general
county.
fund too. You can pay it however you want, it doesn't matter where you pull it from, but
And you're
it
right.
has to come from the county money in order for it to be received into your hospital.
The PILT payments, this is according to the Department of the Interior, the PILT payments may be used for any governmental purpose. That includes a community hospital, but it also includes certainly going to DPHHS, which is a state agency. So the reason for my motion is for clarity and assurance for the hospital. We've all seen the memos, we've all seen the letters, we've all been through this, I don't know, at least a dozen times. I'll look for the memo in my phone.
Originally, it was the hospital's intention to put up our mill levy money against it, so you guys didn't have to look for it anywhere else, but because we now don't have that mill levy available to us, it's imperative that somebody helps get that third money back to the community.
How much did you get back last year?
$280,000.
And how much did you send in?
205.
Pretty good deal.
It's a big deal. It's a lot of money that's available.
Oh, good. Corey, come in.
Heading through to look at something. Might need it.
Yeah, you're needed.
Uh-oh. Sit down for a minute.
The pass to get through it has a question for you. We're discussing PILT money. Where it can be spent
Where it can be spent,
and where it cannot.
cannot be spent. That's all the wind-up I get.
well, understanding I always had it on the PILT that it has to benefit everyone in the county. In this case, the south end of the county is not requiring benefit.
Established in about 20 years through the legislature.
So PILT, the language from the federal statute specifically says that it can be spent for any public purpose. So
That's pretty broad.
it's very broad. And up until recently, I was still struggling with some of the allowable uses of PILT. And there's a Supreme Court case and Attorney General's opinion that recently found that say that PILT can really be spent for anything that you would spend any of your general fund money for, okay? Because it's in lieu of what you would have gotten through the general fund if you could tax federally, essentially. So long as it's lawful for you to spend county money on a whatever use, then PILT money can be used for that. So the question is what, I guess the underlying question is what, can you spend money, county money lawfully for what you're intending to spend PILT money
So we can't spend it on the Gravely Ranch, huh?
for? If the county buys a Gravely Ranch, yes, it can.
Think not, think not.
That was an eloquent answer.
So is there, what was the context of that question then?
Well, IGT money.
Intergovernmental transfer.
Mhm.